In the meanwhile, just as usual, short reminder about the press material available outside that I hope you have already had the chance to see. You have an IP, you have a memo, and you have a fact sheet on Schengen with the main figures about the Schengen area. We didn't this time. Okay, thank you very much. So without any further delay, I leave the floor to Commissioner Malmström.
Thank you very much, Michele. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Before I present to you the proposals on Schengen, let me put some figures behind the concept of Schengen to give you a clear picture of the magnitude of this fantastic project and its importance to the border-free zone. The Schengen zone represents an area of cooperation that includes today 25 member states, as you know, or member states of Schengen, not all member states of the European Union. It's a 43,000 kilometers of sea and 80,000 kilometers of land borders, a population around 400 million people. Every year, European citizens make over 1.25 billion journeys as tourists and visit friends and relatives all over Europe without any obstacles at the internal border. The introduction of the Schengen visa has also simplified life for millions of third country nationals who can enter one country and travel freely through the whole Schengen area for up to 3 months. Moreover, an area without internal border controls brings huge benefits to the economy. Between 2004 and 2007, the boost to labour mobility from new countries joining the European Union increased the Union's gross domestic product by around 40 billion euros. So these figures is just one example of showing how tangible, popular and successful the Schengen achievement is and the importance in our daily lives and economies. So this achievement of the European Union is now suffering from some weaknesses, and we have to remedy them quickly if we want to guarantee the future. Most of these weaknesses stem from the intergovernmental approach at the core of its governance and from its decision-making system. So this approach could have been valid in the early stage when there were only 6 members involved, but it proved to be inefficient today with 25 members and probably more to come in the near future. So if we want Schengen ready for the current and the future challenges, we need to shift from an intergovernmental approach to a European-based system where decisions are taken jointly at an EU level. This shift will require some courage, especially in this difficult moment of crisis when member states tend to be more national interest oriented. But in the end, moving to a truly European approach will benefit all countries and all citizens. So what we are proposing today is to amending the Schengen Border Code in 2 ways. First, strengthening the governance of the Schengen area, and secondly, introducing a new EU-based decision-making regime. To guarantee the constant management of the Schengen area, we have to create an EU-based system that allows for us to efficiently evaluate and monitor the implementation of the Schengen rules and remedy shortcomings and deficiencies immediately. So at the heart of this approach are announced and unannounced visits at the border by Commission-led teams with Frontex, Member States experts, etc., to verify the application of the Schengen rules. This would allow us to very early identify if there are any problems or shortcomings, so that we could, together with that particular member state, elaborate an action plan and mobilise all the tools that we have at our disposal in the European Union, with our funds, with our agencies, with the experts of the institutions and of the member states. We also want to introduce a Schengen health check that would take place twice a year, stimulating a debate within the Council and within the European Parliament on the functioning of Schengen based on the Commission reviews. The decision-making regime. Currently, as you know, the power to decide to reintroduce border controls lies with the Member States. Since the free movement of persons within the Schengen is a common European good available for all persons, our view from the Commission side is that the decision to reintroduce border controls should be taken at the European level if the free movement is likely to be affected, and it is. The grounds of the reintroduction of the border controls will remain unchanged, as they are today. Checks can only be reintroduced in cases of serious threat to public policy or to international security. This doesn't change. What changes is how and who. Under the new regime, a decision to reintroduce internal borders control for foreseeable events big sport events, G8 meetings, and so on, would be taken by the Commission, who is very early notified by the concerned Member States, and it would be backed by a qualified majority by the Member States. This normally functions very well, and these events are planned very long in advance. Of course, should there be an unexpected event, a terrorist attack or an emergency of any kind, Member States remain the possibility to quickly close their borders. They can do so for 5 days. After that, they have to notify the Commission and ask if they want a prolongation. That prolongation would then be a joint decision via comitology based on a Commission proposal. This new EU-based regime will also be crucial in cases where there are persistent difficulties to critical situation if a Member State fails to adequately take part in and protect the part of the EU border. To give the EU the means to react, we propose that such a situation, we have, of course, all the measures that we should mobilise to assist that Member States. It could be technical and financial support, it could be expertise, it could be any kind of assistance to remedy the situation and to alleviate the pressure on that Member State. We have the RABBIT, we have the Asylum Support Office, we have Frontex, etc. If this is not sufficient in exceptional cases, it could be envisaged to allow for temporary reintroduction of internal borders for a limited scope and a limited period of time. On the basis of this, the Commission will make a proposal, and the proposal will then be accepted or rejected by qualified majority comitology. And it would be for first a period of 6 months. It could be renewed. Thereby, we avoid any unilateral decisions by individual Member States. We establish a collective approach to the protection of our common interest. We avoid a situation where Member States read in the newspapers that their neighbour wants to introduce border controls. This mechanism would reinforce the mutual trust between Member States, since each of them would be certain that even in a case of a Member States do not fulfil their duties, the strain on the part of EU border would not result in a disruption on the whole system. So to conclude, the aim of these proposals is to guarantee a more consistent, a more transparent and a more efficient border control-free area. We want a better Schengen, then we want to shift to a truly European system, the only one able to strengthen and safeguard the citizens' right to free movement within the Schengen area, one of the most cherished achievements by the Union. Thank you very much. I'm ready to take your questions.
We'll take the questions immediately. Okay, I already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We'll take it in that order. No, in the middle, Yes, please.
Yes, George Faris, Hungarian Press. Commissioner, 2 short questions. If some country fails to protect the external border, then in extreme case, the neighboring Schengen country is allowed to re-establish the internal border temporarily, if I understand well. But who will finance this extreme step? I mean, there is no internal border in many places, physically doesn't exist, and also the human resources are not there, so it's an enormous effort. And perhaps it's not the mistake of country X, but it's neighbor who failed to protect the real external border. Secondly, you say in the report that monitoring visit will be given, and there will be recommendations if there is failure again. What happens if the recommendation is not fulfilled by the targeted country?
Well, first of all, the attempt to really strengthen the early phase, the preventive phase of a problem, is meant to lead to a situation where there would be very few exceptional circumstances where there would really have to be such an extreme action as to reintroduce a border. So to assist a country or countries who have difficulties, that would be, I mean, we would help them with the funds that we have, the border funds available, Frontex, EASO, etc. We would ask for member states' expertise, etc. If this is not enough, under extreme cases where there will have to be a reintroduction, temporary reintroduction of border, there are no special funds for other countries provided for this. But that is also not the case today. So that doesn't change. The monitoring and the unannounced and the announced visits is, of course, to strengthen and to very, very early identify a problem, because the intergovernmental nature of the evaluation today has led to two polite letters being exchanged between member states, and we have not been able to very early detect the problems. We would have to work with the particular member states for an action plan. So this is what you need to do, and this is the funds and support we can do. If they, for any reason, still can't do it, well, then we will have this extreme situation when temporary border controls might need to be introduced. As today.
Hi, I'm Tamás Nagy from Hungarian Press Brooks.info. 3 member states have already expressed its concerns on its proposals. On your proposals, they said they wouldn't support this initiative. On this basis, what kind of debate do you expect, and how long would you insist on these legislations? Thanks.
Well, 1.5 years into my mandate, I have experienced that very few of my proposals do not lead to very heated debate, because they are controversial issues, everything we deal with here. Now I have noted in the press remarks from different countries and so on, of course, the proposals are presented today. Maybe everybody has not really read them in full today, but I'm looking forward to explain and to argue and to defend these proposals and to enter into discussion with both the legislative bodies, the Council and the European Parliament, of course. What is clear is that we are not hindering member states from introducing borders if they need. If there are planned events, the only thing that we say is that they should alert the Commission. The Commission will consult with member states. This could be a very, very quick procedure, so it's more of a technical one. And should there be an emergency, a terror attack or something like happened in Norway this summer, there is a need to close the border immediately. There is still this possibility to do that for 5 days. Should there be a need to prolong that, they contact the Commission. In all events where there has been unexpected events, such terror attacks, we have looked at this the last 5 years. In no case has the border been closed more than 5 days so far.
Gary from your active Commissioner, allow me to challenge you on something you said. You said that Schengen has become inefficient today with 25 members, but we all remember that there was a dispute between France and Italy, and France is a founding member of Schengen and Italy is a very old member of Schengen. And we are also aware of Greece having a loose border with Turkey. Greece is an old member of Schengen. We are not aware of any problems, Schengen-related problems, say with Poland or the Czech Republic or Slovakia or Lithuania or Latvia or Estonia. I mean, why do you say? I mean, can you substantiate your idea that we have problems because we have too many members? It doesn't appear to make sense.
No, I didn't say that. And if that is how you understood me, I apologize. That was not at all my intention. I said that a very intergovernmental approach could have worked when there were only 5 members. But now it's such a big progress, such a big project with 25 members and more to come. So it is a truly European project, and that's why an intergovernmental approach doesn't work. It has nothing to do with new members joining. It's just that there are so many members, so we need to have a European approach. And if you understood that to be a criticism of the enlargement, that was not at all my intention, and so I fully agree with you.
We had a question up there, Catherine.
Catherine Negley, Swiss News Agency. Thank you. You said that I understand that you want a truly European-based system with jointly taken decisions, but how do you explain to the Schengen member states, Switzerland, Norway and Iceland, that they can be in the decision committee but can't vote? So that's a bit strange.
Well, that's like today. Yeah. Well, that doesn't change. That's today. I mean, they are part of the Schengen, but if there are if there is a decision to be made for X country, they will be consulted in the basis they will be part of the discussion. They can express their view, but they can't vote. And that's, well, that's the nature of this cooperation. But of course, they will be part of the discussion, and they can voice their concerns or their replies, and hopefully they can also contribute with their expertise and their knowledge.
Thomas Larsen from the Danish newspaper Politiken. Italy and Greece have been mentioned, but there are examples further north Is there any link? Yeah, I think you know one, between these discussions and this proposal and the fact that the now former Danish government, that's actually retiring today, decided to reintroduce customs control earlier this year?
Well, there are two answers to that. The first is that the Commission, as you know, I don't know if you personally was present, but we presented already before Christmas last year a proposal to strengthen the evaluation and to make it more European-based. And this was long before any headlines from the countries you mentioned was in there. And also the European Council in June 24th, was it? 24th. Asked the Commission to look at Schengen because it has been such a discussion on the different weaknesses of the Schengen system and on some questions on when borders could be introduced or not. And there was a criticism that some used this for internal reasons and also that there were some unclarities in the current legislation. So the Council asked the Commission to look at this and to come with a proposal in September. We're doing that now. So of course, the recent debate in the spring has contributed to this, but the weaknesses of Schengen was clear to the Commission long before Christmas. Well, that's true. So yes, we looked at it already before, but yes, of course, the debate in the spring led to the Council asking the Commission to look at the Schengen governance as a whole.
Wait.
Will these proposals have any influence on whether Denmark can continue with this customs control that was reintroduced?
Well, first of all, as you know, we have put a lot of questions to Denmark on the first phase of their decisions, and we are waiting for their answers to come in. Now, as you say, there will be a new government. We don't really know exactly what that will look like, and that government will, of course, come with their answers to the Commission. Now, in these proposals, if they are all accepted, hopefully a situation like that would never occur, because we would work with a country who says that they have problem at the border to identify those problems and help assisting so that we could remedy the problem very early.
Commissioner, my question is on a related subject. The Dutch government is expected today to announce that it will veto the possible accession of Romania and Bulgaria to the Schengen zone. Do you have any comment to make on this?
Well, I know that the Polish presidency is working very, very hard to find a solution to this, and that they were looking at a possible way to at least partly give a possibility for Romania and Bulgaria to enter Schengen. We have, of course, supported those efforts by the Polish and also said that both Romania and Bulgaria are technically ready to join. Now, the decision is, as you know, taken by member states unanimously. The Commission has no vote in this. I hope that there's still possibility to find a solution, and I hope that with this proposal we could actually strengthen the trust in Schengen, and that would also be something that could benefit this discussion. Okay,
I have two questions here marked, so I will take the two questions, Stephanie, and then we move sorry, Stephanie, just one moment of patience. You're just after, and then we will do another round to see Bruno as well. Sorry.
Yes, no, it's fine. Actually, Stephanie Sartagazanzager, it's a follow-up on my Swiss colleague in front of me. You said the Swiss always worked like this for Schengen members, non-EU members, that they could participate in the discussion. But this time it's a question of a more fundamental change. You know, you said it's a step from intergovernmental system to a more European system. Aren't you afraid that you will lose one or two or maybe three members in the Schengen space with these proposals on the way? Thank you.
Well, no, I do not think so. I would hope that they would welcome the possibility that all Europe, including those countries, would be involved in the decision instead of having the unilateral decisions taking on this. So I would hope that they would welcome this possibility. And again, what is changing is the decision-making, but not the possibility. And the grounds, they are the same as before.
Just to make it clear, Switzerland, as well as Norway and Iceland, will maintain the right to reintroduce border control in case of unforeseen events for up to 5 days. So probably this is just the misunderstanding. Stephanie?
Stefanie Bolzen, German Daily Die Welt. Commissioner, one question. Some member states, among them Germany, have already said that giving the power of decision to the Commission is non-negotiable. So what is for you negotiable? Where are your red lines?
Well, I am presenting this proposal today on behalf of the Commission. This is what we believe in, this is what we are proposing, this is what we think is best for Europe. We are not taking powers away from individual member states, we are giving powers to all member states when we talk about reintroduction of borders, because it is a common European project. And we will sit together with the Council, with the European Parliament. I'm certainly not ready to enter into any negotiations here and now. And as I said, we present the proposal today. There might have been parts who have leaked out, but the proposal is here today, and I am happy to send it to all my colleagues in the member states so they can look at all the commas and the details, and we can discuss it together. And the first opportunity to do so will be on Thursday next week when the JAI Council meets here in front of us, or back.
Just wondering if you just first whether you could tell us why you're announcing this proposal today after the Danish elections. Is that just coincidence? Well, it's actually it is. I mean, you've just said that these proposals have got nothing to do with Denmark specifically, but they've been the timing is an unusual one in the rhythm of the way that the European Commission works. So if you could tell us that, but also again coming back to a question that my colleague asked, you're essentially saying that in the final resort, I think of the words used in the IP, that the question of public policy and internal security will be decided by a QMV vote of experts. Now, that's a pretty fundamental question of statehood, to be able to determine what public policy, a threat to public policy or internal security on your territory's borders. To justify that kind of pretty radical and huge transfer of power, how do you justify that in terms of problems within the Schengen zone? Because despite a couple of skirmishes this year, I don't think it's really credible to say that the future of Schengen is under threat.
First, on the timing, for all of you who have followed European affairs for a long time, you know that you cannot fabricate a proposal like this in a few days. We have been working all summer with it. We got the conclusions from the 24th of June, but it was already clear that they would ask the Commission to do something. So all summer we have been working with this. Very late, I think only 3 weeks ago, was the announcement of the date of the Danish election. So by then we were fully working on the details on this. We knew and we discovered, and I think if you followed the paper the last year, there was a very big interest on these issues, of course, because Schengen is a big concern. And it was actually a service to you to choose to present it here and not in Strasbourg. So that's why we did it. We adopted it today in the Commission. Why do we justify? Well, because we have seen that yes, there has been discussions in some countries during the spring, but already before that, there were problems in the way Schengen was protected, in the way that there are several problems at the border in the European Union, and the intergovernmental evaluation has been quite weak. And because of that, we have not been able to very early identify the problems. And the problems of Europe today is not that there is too much Europe. The problem is that there is too little. We need to work jointly on joint projects to defend them and to make sure that they are robust and that they can bear the challenges of crises and increasing populism. And that's why we think that the solution to really safeguard Schengen is to make it a truly European project, also in the decision-making system, while, of course, respecting that member states under exceptional circumstances have the right to control their borders if they are under attack. That does not change. And also, if they need to reintroduce a planned event, that does not change. It is just that the Commission formally takes the decision after checking with the other member states. And we are actually saying also that Schengen was created to boost mobility among our fellow citizens and business. This is a joint project. Then we must also defend it and equip it for the future in a joint manner, and that's how we are defending the Europeanization of this, or the communitarization of this.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Just to check how many questions are left, 1, 2, and then a last follow-up, and then I think we will close this press conference.
Anya Widenska from New Europe. Coming back to the procedures, Commissioner, so after 5 days, how much time would it take to answer upon the request of the country to prolong the current situation? And in the case the country disagrees with the decision, where should it go and how much time would it take?
Well, as I said, we have looked at all the occasions where there has been reintroduction of borders for emergency issues, such as terror attacks or some threat. And in no case has the border been closed more than 5 days so far since 2006, in no case. So normally it's only a few hours or maximum a few days. Should there be a really serious attack against a country where they need to close their airspace or something for an additional day, the Commission with Member States can have this comitology procedures done very, very quickly. It will not be hindered if there is really a reason or security threat still remaining. There would not be any bureaucratic hinders delaying that. That could be done in hours, actually, if it's really urgent. There are quick procedures in comitology for that.
Country disagrees with your decision, for example, if you reject a country to prolong the status quo, where a country should go in that case?
Well, formally the Commission has the right to refuse to call the comitology process, but I would find it very hard to imagine in practice why we would say no if there is a real threat to that member state.
We move to Stanley.
Stanley Pignal from the Financial Times. Commissioner, these proposals were kicked up largely as a result of the Franco-Italian dispute that arose after the Arab Spring. And they asked specifically for a mechanism to suspend borders in case of a rapid influx of migration. Now, under the proposals that you're putting forward today, would France have been allowed to reimpose border controls with Italy in this particular instance? That's my first question. Second question, can you think of any instances in recent European history in which there would have been an influx of migrants which would be rapid enough to trigger the new clauses that you are putting forward today? Thank you.
Well, the Commission looked at the French-Italian actions after the incident that you referred to, and we found that legally speaking, they did follow the acquis, but in spirit, it was more of a violation. So the hope is, of course, in the future, if we got these rules in place, that situation wouldn't appear, because there would be mechanisms to assist both these two countries well in advance. And we are also working with clarifying guidelines. We have asked all the member states whether there are still unclarities in the current acquis, and they have said that, for instance, travelling documents, which was in this case raised the question in Italy, when these can be used or not. So we are working with clarifications and guidelines on parts of this together with member states. As I said, the grounds do not change for reintroducing border controls in this. It's just the procedures. Normally, migration or asylum pressure would not be a ground to do that. One could, of course, theoretically imagine under very specific circumstances. It depends also what country, the size of the country, the capacity of the country, the amount of people coming, and the time limits. And because Schengen reintroduction border are all in exceptional circumstances, they will all have to be evaluated case by case.
You have a last question?
Yes, Commissioner, I was critical before, but now I'll say that I personally like these health checks, because this is medical terminology and it's understandable to people. So how would you describe the health situation of Schengen today? Is Schengen in intensive care, perhaps?
It's basically functioning because people are moving, but there are threats to it, and we have weaknesses at our external borders, and that we have to I mean, there's no secret that we have some of these weaknesses, and we are also trying to assist those member states. But we must also prepare for possible other threats or challenges to member states, and that's why it's good to have this toolbox, and that's why we need to have this health check regularly, so that we don't run into problems. It's a very preventive approach, actually.
Thank you very much indeed for attending this press conference.